Thank you for clicking on the play button. You're now going to be inflicted with a few minutes worth of my pretty face and me talking about how I actually create my work. What you'll see is a super duper picture of me sat in front of you on a TV at the moment, and what I'm going to do is show you some basics of how I created this printed image, which is part of my Cherry Natural Beauty series of images that I've been working on. And yeah, I'm sat in your front room at the moment, so thank you very much for pressing that on button and sitting here and listening to me. So without further ado, let's switch over to my PC screen so you can see the layers and how I created Cherry Natural Beauty. So here we go. We're on my PC and I have Cherry 6, or What's Left, as I've titled it, shown on the screen in front of me at the moment. And you have to excuse me if I keep looking up and down and not looking directly to you, because I have a small PC screen in front of me down here where I can see what I'm recording and what I'm going to show you next. But anyway, I thought I'd do a very quick overview of what is a series of layers and how the image is built up to create the final picture, which is what you see here. The final picture is, in this case, a compilation of initially 51 layers and 8 groups, but that doesn't take into account the original layers which are used to create the background. And when I say a layer, I mean if you imagine a sheet of paper, and you draw a picture on a sheet of paper, then cut it out and stick it on top of another sheet of paper, you've then got 2 layers, and then effectively you're stacking those layers on top of each other, but you can see through them to the ones below. So that's what Photoshop basically is. It's a way of stacking layers of images on top of each other to create a finished effect. So in this case, as I said already, there's 51 layers used to create this image. But it all started at the very beginning with this. A simple photograph taken whilst wandering around. It's not the world's best photograph, it's not exposed fantastically, the whites aren't white, but the background is nicely blurred. And this is the type of photo I love to use because it gives me plenty of scope to change the colours, increase the brightnesses, change the focus areas, pull out just certain small elements of it. But what I've done, if you look on the left hand side, is starting at the base layer, which is this photograph, I have carried out a series of changes and embellishments to the photograph, and in this case there's 34 layers here, to eventually change it so that it looks something resembling like a piece of artwork which I can put my name to and say, this is me, this is what I've done. So what you'll have here is what I created to make the background and have used in all 7 of the Cherry Natural Beauty images, which you'll see if you go and have a look at my website, or you'll see through my social media pages. But this 34 layers has been moved and dropped into Cherry 6 and used as the starting point. So although there's 51 layers in Cherry 6, there are actually 34 layers sat to create the background. Anyway, if you can hear bird noises in the background, I've got a bird feeder on my window, and there's a mother thrush bringing a baby thrush to be fed, and it's quite cool. I wish I had the video camera pointing at that at the moment, but never mind. On the left hand side you'll see my layer stack. It's very messy. and it is packed full of images, it's packed full of embellishments and tweaks and changes, all made and stacked on top of each other to create this final image. And as you can see from the sorry, I'm getting distracted by the bird. You can see from the stack of images, it's gone from the basic initial one, which is what we started with, which is there, and I just flipped it on its head, turned it upside down, made it a little bit bigger to take away some of the edges, because I didn't want the straight lines from the edges. And then I've simply added more textures. I've added the model image, which I got from Shutterstock. I've done some little tweaks to the model image around her hair because I didn't like the way it looked, and then I've used some extracted elements of photographs which I've taken myself, taken out of their home environment, so to speak, and put onto the page in specific areas which you can just see in places like this, so that you can actually add some textures, etc, etc, to etc. That's a good explanation, isn't it, James? To the image. And then you've got things like this, which is like another photograph which I've taken specific areas out of which I wanted to use within the artwork. Again, very, very small but useful addition. Likewise with things like this, again my own photographs extracted and pulled into specific areas, in this case to help make the angel-like looking wings from the leaves. And you can see there's quite a few little photographs and bits used to make up this whole area. And again, if I just open one of those up, each photograph is masked so that it shows or hides certain areas. And in this case, if I turn the mask off, you can see that there's the whole photograph. Again, just a straightforward, easy snapshot. In fact, this one was taken on my iPhone, and then I brought it into Photoshop and extracted it, or should I say, hid or masked out the areas I didn't want, to leave the areas that I did want. And those areas that I wanted turned into the leaf wings. Sounds simple. It is simple, but you do need a bit of time and practice and patience, and you need the tools, and you need the inspiration, of course, to think about putting all of this onto a picture to create something that you had in your mind. So the inspiration for me was the cherry blossom, or the tree blossom, and also the green leaves which were emerging after the cherry blossom dropped, and then finding a nice stock model photograph off Shutterstock, and in this case I showed you this earlier, but here we go again. So it's a combination of imagining what you want to make, and then having the ability to extract elements from your own other photographs, add colours, and move everything into the form that you want it. So although you do get apps on phones, and you do get actions on phones, or you do get actions on Photoshop that you can do a lot of wonderful things for you, there's nothing quite like stacking layers, chopping out little bits of photographs, merging them all together to create your own finished artwork. And something like this depends on the mood and when I do it. Can take between 5 and 14 hours to create. This particular one took I think it was about 9.5, 10 hours, but a lot of the time when I can't sleep, I'll sit in front of the PC and I'll just make. And this is one of those ones that I did at that time. I think it was about 2:30, 3:30 in the morning when I finished it. I can't quite recall, but I know I was incredibly excited after finishing it, because it was exactly what I had in my mind, and it looks amazing when it's printed, and once I've got it hand embellished, I think it'll look fabulous in a frame, which if you look over my shoulder, I've got a couple of them on the wall behind me already. But this will be the next one I'll do. So keep an eye out on my website, keep an eye out in this magazine, catch me on Facebook. You'll find me under James Hurley or Mycreateimages. You can just do a Google search. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop boring you. Press the stop button, flip the page, and have a look at some more amazing artwork from some other artists. Thanks for being here. Bye bye.